Imagine this. You can't. Wait. Listen. I want you to close your eyes. Go ahead, I'm waiting. Okay, now humor me here. Picture a red star. And tell me what you see. No, really, tell me. Do you see a complete bright red star, edges sharp and angles pointed, clear as a picture? A photographic memory? Or do you see the shape, but it's maybe a little fuzzy, a little frayed at the edges? Or maybe you can't quite fill it in with red, but you're still able to bring some sort of dull pink to mind? Maybe you see a star but no color at all, or maybe just the outline, or maybe just a vague sketch that feels like a star even though it's not really there. For me, none of the above. In fact, I see nothing. I close my eyes and I think real hard, but no images emerge in my mind. Nothing but an inky black void. Nothing but, well, nothing. I have this thing the doctors like to call aphantasia, which is a fancy word for saying I can't picture things in my mind. My mind's eye, as they say. I was told I was just born without one, but they're so wrong, it's laughable. I guess I can't really blame them, though. They're so tied in their randomized controlled trials and peer-reviewed research and placebo study after placebo study that they'll never get anywhere. Not anywhere real, at least. They'll just keep telling you what's wrong with you. That you're wrong, and you're defective, and you're the problem. All jokes. A lot of them. Lots of people have aphantasia, apparently. Lots of them don't even know they have it. But I was so disturbed by my own utter absence of imagination as a kid that my parents took me to a series of doctors. A series of dunces in white coats with their fancy words and their empty, closed minds. They named my condition, diagnosed me, but did fuck all about it. They couldn't understand why I was so bothered by it. And no, before you write me off like they did, it wasn't because I was sad to be a kid with apparently no imagination and absolutely no way to connect with other kids and their vast, expansive, wild imaginations. It was because I was scared. I was scared that I might get lost while riding my bike, or someone might take me while I'm out playing in the yard and wouldn't know how to get home, and I'd get turned around and I wouldn't even know it because I couldn't picture my house or my front yard or my street or even my own family in my mind. I was terrified that I was removed from my comfort zone. I wouldn't even be able to remember it or recognize it because I couldn't picture it. And if I couldn't picture it, who's to say it was even real in the first place? These racing thoughts only got worse as I got older. The doctor told my parents I'd grow out of the nerves and the fear, but in reality, it only got worse. Because when Chelsea stayed home from school for a week because her grandma died, and I found out about death and the finality of it, I cried and cried and cried because what if my grandma died? And then my grandpa and my mom and my dad and even my older brother, and I couldn't picture their faces in my mind. Would I even be able to remember them at all? Would they be able to remember me if I wasn't remembering them? Worse and worse and worse once I grew to love people outside my family, love my friends, and love the one girl who found my problems quirky and deep enough to give me a shot. And of course, she didn't care at first when I asked her to take her picture, but I kept asking for more and more and more until it wasn't asking anymore. It was insisting, because what if a fire came through and burned her and all the evidence of her existence up? I insisted more and more because if that happened, I would just die. And I needed just one more picture. Just one more. I promise. Pretty please. Wasn't long before she left me, understandably. I tried therapy and every single pill you could imagine, from Ativan to Paxil to Wellbutrin to Xanax to Zoloft, but my problem wasn't that I was an amorphous blob with a little rain cloud spewing depression and anxiety down on me. The problem wasn't faulty serotonin pumps or poor coping mechanisms or the presence of a sad-spewing cloud. It was the fact that I couldn't even imagine that cloud, and it was ruining my life. And before you suggest it, I tried all the drugs under the fucking sun that are supposed to open your mind's eye, but I'm pretty convinced those only work for 20-something-year-olds at Coachella who drink their kale and spout nothingisms like, manifest your blessings, because they sure as shit did not work for me. I dropped acid, chewed down a mouthful of shrooms, even smoked DMT, but while I saw things that I wouldn't normally see, when I closed my eyes, there was still just nothing. And that nothingness was all I could think about. That nothingness became somethingness, and then it became everythingness, and I knew I had to find some way to cure myself, had to find a way to release myself from the void. So I pulled up a picture of that red star on my laptop. I studied it, memorized it, all its 5 angles, 120 degrees, its color, red. I told my brain, it's 5 points, all pointing in separate directions. 1 up center, 1 up left, 1 up right, 1 down right, 1 down left, and they all came together in the middle to create the essence of Red Star. Hours I looked at this thing. Hours I committed every single detail of it to memory, that filing cabinet people talk about, but I've never understood because there are no busy workers that are just little me's wandering around up in there. There's no stockpile of information carefully filed away in manila folders at the ready to be plucked up by one of the busy worker bee me's. If I can't picture them in my mind, they can't be there. They can't be real. They can't be anything but nothing, right? Sorry. I got carried away there. So anyway, after studying Red Star as hard as I imagine it, a man lucky enough to be in love studies the face of his lover, I closed my laptop. Red Star, I told my brain, and my brain said back. That is to say, nothing. Nothing. I opened my computer back up, gave the old garbage brain a refresher, closed my eyes again. Red Star, I told my brain a little sterner this time. My brain just went. So I told my brain, Red Star with 5 angles, all pointing in different directions. Up, center, up, left, right, down, left, all 120 degrees, all coming together in the middle in an explosive mirage of the color red. Come on now, you can do this, brain. Red Star! Even with all the details studied into oblivion like that, I couldn't conjure a single shape up in my mind's eye. Blank, empty, zero, zilch, nada, void, nothing. I focused a little harder because, by God, I knew I could do it. It was all in there, so it had to be in there, you know? I mean, where else would it be if not in my mind, if I had looked at the thing for so long? Where else could it be? If I had all the information and all the minute details and all the nuances of Red Star, whole Red Star had to be in there somewhere, and I knew that because I knew it was in my brain, so it must be in my mind too, right? Sidebar. You know how when you focus real hard on something in front of you, how you can kind of feel your eyes searching? You can feel them refocusing and straining to see whatever you're looking at. Well, I felt that. But it wasn't how I was used to feeling it, how I could remember feeling it. It wasn't my eyes per se, but it had the same feeling, only deeper, insider, closer to my mind, whatever that even is. I kept trying, kept straining to find Red Star in my mind, and my eyes, but not my eyes, twitched a bit, wiggled a little in their sockets like they were coming to life. My mind's eye trying for the first time to work for me. Waking up and searching so hard that it hurt, like eye strain, but not. And then, for the first time ever, I started to see something. I started to see Red Star, but it was just that vague feeling, that fuzzy outline of Red Star, but it was something emerging from the darkness, from the swimming black void that is, was my mind. Then, as quickly as it materialized, it dematerialized. I think that's a word. And I was left with nothing but nothing again. And I swear to Christ, it was like being written off by the 15th Doctor of losing my girlfriend, or the fear of getting lost and not being able to find my way back home because in my mind there was no home all over again. The worst empty feeling. A new feeling of total emptiness because I'd finally felt something. And now that I knew something could fill up my mind, I became so aware of just how empty it really was. Not just a flat blank space, but a 3-dimensional empty space with the potential for filling. And try as hard as I might, I just couldn't bring vague concept of Red Star back. But I could still feel it. I could still feel them. My mind's eye sore from trying. I knew they were there, knew that if I knew about them, then they knew about me. So all I had to do was find them, discover them, uncover them. So I grabbed the spoon from this morning's cereal, or maybe it was yesterday's, or 2 yesterdays ago? How long have I been doing this? And I went to the bathroom and I stared long and hard at me with my outside world eyes, and I stared right through me into my brain, and I said to my brain one last time, Red Star, brain. Nothing. Deep breath in. Out. Last chance, brain. Red Star. Nothing. So I lodged the tip of the spoon right on the edge of my eye socket, dug the metal bed of it right into the recess behind my eye, one swift motion so I couldn't convince myself to stop, and Jesus, fuck did that hurt, but it was over then. And I closed my eyes. All I saw was red. At first I thought it must be blood, but it only took a second before I realized what I saw, and what I was seeing was Red Star. I opened my eyelids back up again and looked long and hard at myself in the mirror, and I saw it. I saw the eye behind my eye. My mind's eye. Through the gore, I could see that little hollow in the back of my now empty eye socket, and there was a dilated pupil with an amber iris around it, and a bit of white around that. The sclera, I think? All red from strain. The blood vessels worked to bursting, so now that part was red too. I wasn't born without a mind's eye. I was born with a blocked one. The reality of one mind's eye immediately opened up the potential for two, so I asked my brain, is there? And my mind, answered back, clear as day with a vivid picture. 3 letters, bold and sharp and red in my mind's eye, spelled it out. Y-E-S. So I did away with the other outer eye too. I left them both in the sink. I don't need them anymore, nor do I want them. I can't see like I used to, definitely not. But I can feel them in a way I've never felt anything before. More than that, I can picture them perfectly in my mind's eyes. I can picture each letter I strike with 20/20 clarity. And I can picture you, every one of you hearing this. I can picture every detail of every one of you now that I've transcended my outer eyes. I can picture your pockmarked skin, your cheeks flushed bright red. I can picture the sweat kissing your brow, so real and close that I swear I can taste it on the tip of my tongue. All of you are beautiful, so beautiful I can barely stand it. A vision of perfection that I never could have imagined before all of this. I can picture you all, and you're laughing and smiling ear to ear. You're all happy, and you're dressed in your finest, and all of you are dancing, and my God, it's so beautiful. You're all dancing in an endless sea of red stars.